everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of What's Trending, your weekly update on the latest social media trends. My name is Catherine McPhee.
And I'm Caitlin Newman. Tonight, the Student Government Association and the Hub will host a candidate forum at 7:30 in room 353 of the College of Media and Communication. The purpose of the forum is to inform the student body of each candidate's platform.
The 2014 spring elections for the Student Government Association are Wednesday and Thursday of this week, with the official executive board announced Friday, unless a runoff is needed. If there is a runoff, that election will be hosted on March 5th and 6th, according to the SGA election schedule.
This year, there are 3 blocks running: Connect Tech, Experience Where It Counts, and One Tech. Although the blocks campaign together, the student body will vote on each individual candidate.
Along with the blocks running for the executive positions, students will elect senators to represent them in their respective college, as well as senators at large.
With campaigning in full swing, social media is a useful tool applied by all 3 blocks. The candidates are able to utilize Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to create a link with students, as well as generate awareness to their platforms in the upcoming elections.
We sat down with Dr. Autumn Schaefer, an assistant professor with the Public Relations Department, to discuss the implications of social media and politics. Dr. Schaefer, thank you so much for being with us. Today we want to talk about politics and social media. So we are interested in knowing how social media can be used to connect within the political context.
Great, and thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to talk to you about this topic. Very timely topic right now. I know we have some student elections going on. Some of the things that I want to mention about social media and politics and how it can be used is really social media has dramatically changed the landscape of elections over the last 5 years and even over the last decade as Facebook and Twitter and whatnot started to filter in to more of the public. Some things that social media might cause to happen in politics that have been different over the years are people have more control over the information that they see and the information that they distribute. So people are able to access information quicker and quicker now because of social media and other digital platforms. And so whereas before you may have had to wait till a candidate has a town hall or an event, or perhaps you wrote the candidate a letter and they wrote you one back, if you can imagine. Now information can get out instantly, and voters who want to seek out information can go to websites, but then can engage interactively with candidates through social media. So I think it gives the average voter a lot more control over what they're seeing and how they can get information. And overall, I think that's a good thing. I think it also helps the candidates in terms of crafting a strategic campaign. So now they can reach out to voters sooner. They can even micro-target within certain segments of their social media platforms and test messages. How are things working? If they send out a tweet, how many retweets does it get? What are the tones of the tweets that are getting shared more often, for instance? When they do fundraising pushes on Facebook, what messages are getting the most dollars back? And they can make those adjustments in real time. So those are just a couple of the things that I think are unique about social media.
Okay, so are there any risks in using social media in politics?
Absolutely. Just like anything, you need to be careful about what you say. You don't want to do anything that's going to offend anyone, especially in politics, or cause more controversy than it actually helps. Especially with some of the political fact-checking websites, when you put something out on social media, it goes out far and wide very often. And people now, as I mentioned, who have more control over information, the average person can be fact-checking you, and you can be proven wrong in a matter of minutes. So you want to be careful about what you say. Whatever you put out there is permanent. Even if you delete the tweet, it's still going to be screen captured by somebody. And so those are some of the risks that I think candidates need to be mindful of.
Definitely.
Do you see a difference in social media platforms and how candidates use each platform to connect with with individuals?
Yeah, and you know where I want to speak to that difference in social media platforms is actually what we as users of those platforms expect some differences. So there was actually a recent study that came out that was surveying people about why they use Twitter, why they use Facebook, what do they use Instagram for, and they found that there were differences in what they were using and what they expected. So people are more likely to use Twitter to get news or to share information. And so that's the type of content they expect to see on there. Whereas Facebook, people are using that more to connect with their friends or lost members of their social circle. So those messages may need to be a little bit more personal and obviously longer than an average tweet is expected on Facebook. People are also expecting more videos to show up on Facebook, more and more even. Instagram, people want to see things that are more personal. They're expecting a little bit more insight into someone's life if they're following them on Instagram, if a campaign chooses to have an Instagram account. So there's some user expectations that I think candidates and campaigns need to match up with if they want to keep their followers on that platform coming back to read their tweets and their posts.
Right, definitely. So what are some ways to engage students during the elections with social media?
Well, in terms of trying to help students be more interactive, there's a number of strategies that campaigns might use, and even corporations and nonprofits use these same strategies. But you want to give people what feels like valuable information. So one of their, Facebook actually was just put out a study, I think maybe last year, about things that people expect from candidates on Facebook, for instance. And they wanted sort of inside information, the types of things, if you want people to share your candidate's post, they're looking to share it in a way that makes them look good. People want to share things like, oh, my friends might not have seen this video, or they may not know this fact. So you have to provide your followers or your friends that are liking you or whatever, with something that they can share that's going to make them look in a good light, that perhaps people don't know. That's one technique that can be, that's been shown to be effective on Facebook, for instance.
Definitely.
Are there any ethical issues with social media and politics that you've seen?
Just like any other medium, of course, there's ethical issues. I think I mentioned before that you want to make sure that anything you say is true, and that would be on any medium, but you're really going to be fact-checked on anything that you put online and so quickly. So that's something that you want to consider. You want to consider sharing too much private information, someone else's private information, for instance. Candidates very often go out into the community and they meet people and they hear their stories, and then you hear them retelling those stories. And the candidate will say something like, I was at the grocery store and I met Betty Lou and she's been on hard times, and this sort of thing. Well, whenever you put someone's information like that out there, they're going to then be scrutinized. The press is going to look into that story, make sure that it's factual. So that's one area where you want to make sure you have permission to do that, and that perhaps you've done some of the research on your end, because there has been times when campaigns have shared a story and then it turns out the story was false. Maybe not because the campaign meant it to be false, but the person who told them the story wasn't telling the full truth, and that's still embarrassing to the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
For a deeper look into the platforms of each block, check out the 3-piece report by the Daily Toreador, which highlights the candidates in each block running.
To vote in the elections, students can go to sga.ttu.edu to cast their ballot and find locations to vote in person. We wish all the candidates good luck this week.
All right, well, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for watching What's Trending. Remember to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Caitlin. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
What's Trending is produced through the Outpost and the College of Media and Communication at Texas Tech University.